Hey, good morning, everyone, and happy Saturday. I am so glad to have you joining us here. I'm here this morning, super excited about this with my very great friend, Julietta Wenzel. She is amazing. She's been a physical therapist for over 30 years. You don't seem old enough to even that to be
I know I'm
possible.
not. I'm not. I'm like, call me Doogie Howser. Like I graduated from PT school. I don't even want to say when I'm 16. I think I was 10 when I graduated from PT
There you
school.
go.
So
There you go. That works. That works. But we are coming to you today. So Juliet and I have known each other for over 5 years, almost 6 years now. We met through a networking organization we're both a part of, and she is in obviously the health and wellness industry, as I am also now in the health and wellness industry. But I wanted her to come on today because Julietta really has such a great gift of, as you can see in my title, being the magical PT. No better words than what my kids say. Both of my kids have been treated by her. I have, my mom has, numerous friends have. And I think the best way is, I think it was my son walked out of a session with her and he said, I'm not really sure how she did that, but like, I can move my shoulder now. It doesn't hurt. So she's incredible, but she is talking to us today about a really interesting topic, and that is scars. So I'm going to let you go ahead and just take it away because I will not do it justice.
thank you, Allison. I'm so happy to be here this morning. And scars have been a huge part of my treatment protocols for many years now. And I think everybody just thinks about what they see on the surface with scars and, what's on the skin. And yes, what I do helps the appearance of scars. So if someone has a scar that they think is ugly, I can help with the appearance of it. But far more important than that is how the scars affect all of the systems in our body.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like on a physical level, the scars create tension in the tissues that create pull. And, because I know a large portion of our audience here is women, and some of the biggest scars that women have are like C-section scars, hysterectomy scars, tummy tuck scars, also going into the general population here, like think about appendix scars, gallbladder scars. Any kind of abdominal scar is going to create a physical pull forward in the body. I can't tell you how many people with abdominal scars have come to me and said, I have to work so hard to stand up straight. And it's because that scar tissue is pulling them forward.
Wow.
So we have that kind of a physical issue that the scar can create.
Mm-hmm.
But then also scars can create neurologic problems. So a lot of times people have numbness around the scars that persist for years.
Yeah.
And that numbness isn't just like from damage to the nerves, because I've seen time and time again where I will treat the scar and immediately afterwards sensation has returned to the area.
Wow.
So it's not just about healing the nerves, it's about eliminating that neurologic blockage that's there.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes people are like, there's all this poofiness around the scar, and like the scar can be 20 years old and there's poofiness, and
Mm-hmm.
that comes from damage to the lymphatic system. Our lymphatic system is what controls the fluid in our body. And
Right.
so when we have a scar, that lymphatic tissue in that area has been damaged and it can't pump the fluid out of there the way that it normally would. It's also going to affect the circulation in the area, so the arteries and the veins. Also, some of you are familiar with the acupuncture meridians. Those are the energy highways of our body. And
Right.
so that scar tissue, if it runs through those acupuncture meridians, it's creating an energetic barricade in that
Wow.
tissue.
That always blows my mind. When you
Right?
think, I never thought about that before until you and I got to know each other and started working on scars. I didn't realize how much that tissue does interfere with that flow of energy. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So this is why you can see like a scar anywhere on the body can
Mm-hmm.
create an effect somewhere else on the body. And you know, because it will block the flow of energy. So you can have a scar on your hand that's creating an issue in your foot, even though they seem like they're not connected. Everything in the body is connected. The other thing that we can see with scars is that emotions can get trapped in the scars as well.
Wow.
And, yeah, so those are really interesting when we see some of those cases that that there's an emotional blockage there, and you release that will change your life.
Like, what do you mean? Like, can you expand on that a little bit more? I know that might be a little, but I'm.
And that one is a difficult one to explain. Scars are just kind of like, I almost want to say it's like a black hole that can just suck everything into it and just hold it there until you release it, you know? And I'm like, I'm kind of drawing blank to come up with a good example here, but like,
I was going to say, and this may be kind of connected, but I remember there was a time you worked on my son, and he has a scar that he had a mole removed from, that the surgeon did not do a great job and left a really big poofy scar. That's the same side. He also has broken his collarbone on, and he has a lot of muscle tension in all the time. That's the side of his shoulder that always bothers him. And I remember you worked on that a couple times, and he was like, that's so weird, like how things just feel better all over in that general area because of that scar. And it actually flattened out his scar quite a bit. Like, it's a lot less visible than it used to be.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I forgot to mention too that's super important as a physical therapist, scars will also affect the function of your muscles.
Right.
So I've seen time and time again where someone will have a muscle that's just not firing properly. And as soon as you treat the scar, that muscle functions completely normally. And so like people think that they're weak, but it's not an actual muscle weakness. You know, like looking at your son, who's an athlete, you know, his muscles are very strong, but just because you're strong doesn't mean that the muscle is firing properly and doing the job that it needs to do. And so when it's not, other things have to compensate to create the motor function, you know, the movements and stuff that you want to produce.
Right.
And human bodies are great compensators. It's what we do to survive. It's an amazing ability that we have, but our bodies can only compensate so much. And you get to a certain point that you're creating compensation over compensation over compensation, and the body, it's enough. I can't do it anymore. Like you have to do something to fix this. And you know, have a lot of fun with people showing like how their scars affect their motor function. Like sometimes you can just see like the mind blowing happen. It's like, wait, a minute ago I couldn't hold that, I couldn't hold my arm there, and now you worked on that scar and I can hold my arm there for days. Like, how does that happen? So it's
I can use myself as a great example, and we won't get into all the sordid details of it. But years ago, I think we'd only known each other like a year. It was a Friday afternoon. I don't know what I did. I think I grabbed groceries out of the car. And when I turned, I kinked up my neck, or that's what I thought I did. I called you, came in to see you, and you're, you know, going through and all your magical stuff. And it's just not clearing up. So then we started getting on the scar issue. And sure enough, it ended up being a couple scars that I have that you were able to treat. And that day was a rough day. That evening, I remember you telling me, you're probably still not going to feel good tonight. And the next morning I woke up and it was like, everything was fine. I was like, holy cow. I think I even texted or called you and I'm like, okay, I just want you to know I feel totally fine today. But it was you worked on a couple scars I had, and that were probably like you said, blocking whatever energy. They were affecting the muscle in that side of my neck, whatever it was. So it's crazy, but so cool.
Yeah. The most dramatic scar story that I have was, so as you know, and we'll let the audience know, there's a few things that I do to treat scars. And one of the big ones is I use microcurrent point stimulation on the scars, which is an electrical treatment, but it's microcurrent. So our bodies are electric, so
Mhm.
it always makes sense to use electricity to treat the body. A lot of people are familiar with like TENS units where they put pads on the body.
Right.
Um, and it's okay, but the problem with those kind of devices is that they're alternating current. So I don't know how many out in the audience remember, like from science class, but we have alternating current and direct current. And alternating current is, you know, what turns on the lights, what turns on your TV.
Mhm.
But the human body is a direct current system. And so trying to use an alternating current system to heal a direct, it doesn't work.
Okay.
It kind of confuses your nervous system, so you stop perceiving pain for a little bit, but then once the nervous system reorganizes, it's like,
Oh.
oh yeah, I'm still in pain. So
Hmm.
what I use is a direct current that actually helps the body. It's the same current that it uses to heal itself. So
Mhm.
um, so it's like we treat something, it not only creates healing at that time, but it stimulates the body to do its own healing as well.
Mhm.
So, so I use the microcurrent. I also use lasers, and I also do a lot of manual, you know, work on the
Right.
scars to release the physical restrictions. But the absolute first client that I used this microcurrent on when I first learned about it was a woman who was quadriplegic. She had
Okay.
been hit by a drunk driver when she was a young, you know, in high school, and was paralyzed from the neck down.
Mhm.
And I had already been working with her for a couple of years when I got these devices, and I said, hey, do you mind if I try them on you? She's like, yeah, go ahead.
Right.
I treated her scars, and I turned around to set down the devices on the counter, and she's yelling at me, Julietta, Julietta, look at my feet. And I turn around, and here she is moving her feet up and down. This woman had not moved her feet in 25 years. She had been
Okay, that
paralyzed.
just gave me chills.
Right? And I was just like, wow. Like, I will never look at, you know, before that, I had treated scars as well, but that moment was just
Mhm.
like profound in letting me know, like, how important treating scars are.
Okay.
And,
So let me,
you,
can I interject for a second?
yeah,
So let
of
me
course.
because what goes across my mind right now is, okay, so let's say I have these scars that I either don't like or they're bothering me, or I feel like maybe they could be affecting me. And I want to come in and see you and get something, have you take a look at them. Okay, what would that entail? First of all, is it going to hurt when you treat my scars? Because I want to know if it's going to hurt or not. Um, and how, like, do I have to go once? Do I have to go twice? Like, how does this work?
So, and we can do, like, when we're done here, like in the comment section, I'll post the link, like how someone can get in touch with me
Excellent.
and book an appointment if they want. Um, so yeah, you just asked a lot of questions there.
I know.
So,
Sorry.
you know, someone needs to, like, you need to book an initial evaluation, and
Mhm.
we'll come in and I'm going to show you, like, specifically how your scars are affecting you. It's extremely rare that I find someone that has scars that aren't affecting them. Like,
Mhm.
they almost, if you have a scar, I'm going to say 99% sure that it's creating some kind of issue in your body that if you're not, you know, if you're not aware of it today, down the road, it's going to
Right.
come to you. And part of this comes from scars never stop growing.
Right.
So, like, just like our fingernails and our toenails and our hair, like, once
Mhm.
you have a scar, that scar is always growing and shifting and changing. So
Mhm.
it might not be creating a problem for you today. It likely will in the future.
Right.
And you might have these problems and not even be aware that it's the scar that's creating problems.
Mhm.
So when you come in and have an evaluation, I'm going to show you what that scar is doing to the function of your body.
Okay.
And the treatment, like I said, I'm going to use microcurrent. I'm probably going to use laser, and I'm definitely going to do some manual work on that scar. In general, it's not painful, but sometimes there are areas that, yeah, they sting a little bit. And
Yeah.
you know, but it's temporary. And, you know, did you experience pain, discomfort when I
I,
treated you?
I remember it feeling like almost like a little pin pricking sensation, like prickly sensation, but not
Mm-hmm.
not the whole time either. Like it was for a moment and then it kind of went away. So I
Yeah.
don't think it was a big deal. Yeah. but our audience doesn't know what to expect when you're using micro and all that stuff.
Right. And then you asked, like, how many treatments does a scar
Yeah.
need? Some scars that are just like very minor, like sometimes one treatment is enough. I would say most scars, I would recommend 3 treatments. But then I've seen people that have like massive scars, and sometimes they require a lot, prolonged treatment.
More.
Like I had a woman who, she was in a bad car accident, and actually the doctors initially wanted to amputate her leg. Like that's how bad the damage was to her leg.
Wow.
And yeah, there is like, if you go back on my page, there is like a before and after of her scars.
Okay.
And I did a lot of treatments on that scar just because it was, I mean, you can imagine if, like I said, it was so bad that they were considering amputating her leg, and thankfully they did not. And, but she was having issues from all the scar tissue, and, sorry, crazy cats in my house.
Okay. Okay. So I want to just one more quick thing I want to point out before we wrap it up. But I'm just going to give the audience a general idea, because I know we're thinking, oh, well, like I have this little tiny scar. I can't even barely see it. It's on the palm of my hand. It's like itty bitty. Honestly, I know that it gives me problems, and I should probably have Julietta work on it a bit more. And you can almost feel the scar tissue right under it. And that's what brings me to this next point is, those of you that are watching, if you're not really sure, you don't know, maybe they are, definitely set up a consultation with Julietta. But my daughter is a really great example. She's 21. And those of you that maybe, she gets regular infusions done, that she has to use a small needle on her skin, almost like a diabetic needle. So those of you maybe that are dealing with diabetic needles, or you get a regular infusion for something, it has created scar tissue for Lexi underneath her skin that's lumpy and very uncomfortable. And Lexi brought it up to me that it was uncomfortable. She didn't like how it felt. And so I suggested that we go into Julietta. She went to Julietta, and she knows Julietta well. She went into Julietta. Julietta worked on it the one time, and she's like, Mom, it flattened out so much, because she's away at school right now. And she called me up about a month ago, and she's like, Mom, can you get me into Julietta to have her work on my scars again? Because like Julietta just pointed out, these are something that are always, because of what Lexi has to do. It's a constant I don't know how I want to say that, but it's constantly creating more scar tissue. So if Lexi doesn't do anything to treat those, they will constantly grow and be uncomfortable, and will probably cause her other issues long term. So she's been fabulous. So when a 21-year-old is asking to get her scars treated because she's had experience, like that speaks volume, because most 21-year-olds don't believe in anything that,
and it's
whatever.
It's so wonderful that she's taking care of this now.
Yeah.
If she can take care of it now, like when she gets to be in her 30s and her 40s, she would start having all these other weird problems that she's like, I don't know. Like she wouldn't know where they were coming from, because this was like so long ago. How could that be affecting it? But scar tissue, yes, affects you going forward in your future. And I see someone's asking if the treatment lessens the appearance. And absolutely, I have, like, it's not always, but I've literally had scars disappear. Like someone will come in for their second or third treatment, and I'm like, I know we treated a scar here, and I physically cannot find that scar anymore. That's not the typical, but like you said, like your son had that scar that was raised and bumpy, and while it didn't disappear, it definitely smoothed out. And so, and you were talking about the feel of a scar, like a scar that's really well healed. Like when you like don't look at it, if you run your hands just over the scar, if you can't feel the scar, if you can't feel where it is, that's a well-healed scar. But most scars, when you touch them, and like even that's what sometimes when I can't see them, I will just feel, and you can feel where the restrictions are. And so
it feels like a little, like almost like a, I don't know, like a little pebbly, grainy. I don't know. It's anyways. All right. So we are going to get wrapped up here, because I don't want to keep anybody for long. I mean, I know you and I could go on about this for another 10, 15 minutes, but we'll not do that to everybody. So is there anything else you want to just leave everybody with regarding this issue with scars?
No, but like I said, if you have scars and you're questioning if they're affecting you, like Yeah, come and have a consultation,
Mhm.
and we can check it out. Maybe they're not, but in my experience, like I want to say probably 99% of the scars that I look at are having some kind of negative impact
Mhm.
on the body. And the sooner you address it, the better it is for your body.
Okay.
So,
One last thing, speaking of that. So you've been doing physical therapy for over 30 years now. How long have you been doing scar treatment therapy? Long have you been
well,
working on
this
that?
specific way for about 15 years, but even
Wow.
before that, like before I had the microcurrent and the lasers, I was
Wow.
treating them manually because, you can physically feel the
Hmm.
restrictions that the scars create. So I was treating them just with my hands, probably for almost 30 years.
Wow.
But when I, came across the microcurrent and then a little later on adding the lasers in,
Hmm.
like it just like bumps the treatment success up to, a whole nother level. So
That's awesome.
those three things together just create um, a beautiful concoction of treatment
That's
that
so
helps
cool.
scars.
So exciting. So I just want to thank you for coming on this morning. So
Thank
as
you for
many
having
of you, you're welcome. So as many of you know on this Facebook group, my whole goal is just to create a community where we can learn and share and support and encourage. And this is kind of on the learning side. I really am passionate about overall wellness. And I think there's so many little things we don't always pay attention to or realize may be causing problems. So I wanted to bring Julietta on here and talk to you guys about scars. So I appreciate you doing this. It's been awesome. And we'll go ahead and put in the comments. Julietta will put in the comments a link to her website where you can check out more information. I think, didn't you say you have like before and after stuff of scars on there
I
or
don't think
something?
that's on my website. I have that on Facebook and Instagram, and I'll try
Okay.
and find that picture and I'll post it in the comments too.
Well, then also put your Instagram and Facebook links in the
Okay,
comments too. Okay. All right.
I'll do that.
All right. Thanks, you guys. Thanks, Julietta, for
Thank
joining us.
you.
Oh, someone just said great information. Yay. You're so welcome. We're glad. All right. Have an awesome Saturday.
You too. Make it
Bye.
magical.